Hey guys, welcome to this new wonderful podcast of Legacy News or Legacy Gaming and News podcast. I'm your host Colin here with Ashton.
Hey guys.
All right, get rolling off. Start with this brand new podcast. Uh, Mario Galaxy movie reviews and box office so far because it's only like 2 days
Two
out
days.
since time of recording.
The Super Mario Galaxy movie is a massive box office hit as of April 3rd, 2026, breaking records with an estimated 59.1 million in its first 2 US days. While critics have given mixed reviews, roughly 42 to 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, audiences have embraced it with a 90 to 92% score. Opening day, the film earned 34.5 million on Wednesday, marking the largest opening day of 2026 and beating the first Mario movie. 2 day cumulative, the film has grossed 59.1 million in its first 2 days, pacing slightly ahead of the Super Mario Bros. Movie in 2023. Worldwide, global totals are tracking around 122 million plus in its initial opening days. Projections. It is projected to secure a huge 5 day opening weekend with estimates ranging around 186 million to 350 million worldwide. So I looked, I think it was Wednesday when the movie came out on Metacritic. It was a 37. I was like, what the crap? There ain't no way. It was a 37. And then I went on Rotten Tomatoes and it was a 44%. I was like, what is going on? Is this movie trash? But then I looked at the first Mario movie and it was like 50 some percent on Rotten Tomatoes, and then the user score is like 92. I'm like, that's the critics are just being stupid for both of these movies.
That's typical fashion in I mean, call it what it is. I mean, it's technically a kids movie, even though, it's for kids and adults, but adults are more harsh with ranking it, especially in a critical sense, than what it would be for somebody that's a lifelong fan of it.
Right.
But yeah, the one I got from the day was because I pulled it straight from Rotten Tomato. The tomato meter today was sitting at 40.
40.
And popcorn rating was at a 90 today. The 2023 one was at a 59, and for the critic, and then 95 for the popcorn, which I have watched it. Personally, I think that this one is better than the original, well, the 2023 one.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Did you like the
there's a
first one?
lot. I did. I mean, I did. This one, so as you can tell by the new movie title, it's based more on Super Mario Galaxy than any other thing. But I don't want to give too many spoilers. But they do throw sunshine references in there, and it just goes on about that. Which the one spoiler I will throw out is EGAD is not on the staff.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching that the whole time, and it's just a picture of Baby Bowser on the staff on the paintbrush. But I guess technically in this universe he hasn't been established yet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are kind of going back to the beginning, so
Yeah, but I was sitting there watching it for the whole thing, and like there towards the end, you finally get he turns it just enough for you because I mean you can see it throughout the movie. It's just you can't really tell, and especially as it's moving and stuff like that.
mhm.
You think by the time it looks a little bit like Bowser Jr. and how their hair is the same on top, you can't
Yeah.
really tell the difference. And at the end, you can finally see it just enough, and I'm like, oh, it's just Baby Bowser on it. Or not Baby Bowser, Bowser Jr. in a
Yeah.
technical
They're
standpoint.
technically two different characters.
Yeah, I use them interchangeably though.
I do too.
And I went ahead and went way back to 1993 version, and the wonderful glory that it was. Since you the Rotten Tomato back then was a solid 27, and the popcorn meter was 30.
Yeah, that was a rough movie. Have you watched it?
seen bits and pieces of it. I've never sat down and watched the whole thing.
It's
That's
rough.
how bad it is.
It's rough.
But yeah, so it's and going on what you were saying with it's already boxed office. Like I said, in just 2 days, 59.1 million. That's 2% ahead of the 2023 one, too, as well in the box office. So it's already doing better than its predecessor monetarily.
Yeah, I mean, the critics, they're always going to be like that. It's similar to video games, not as bad, but it is similar sometimes to video games that the critics are more harsh on it than the actual user score is for the video game side.
Mhm.
Um, from what I've seen on Reddit and just online in general, it's a very good movie. And you said it was better than the first, and I really enjoyed the first. So I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm try to go next weekend to take Zachary and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they have, which they throw out references. I say eventually it will be some sort of like Marvel situation where they have a whole entire like universe for it.
That'd be cool. I've heard there's a ton of Easter eggs in this movie.
Oh, there is. There is. Like I said, I wish, well, I wouldn't want to spoil it for, our listeners or whatnot. But man, how many references there was and how many characters from over franchises there was, that it just dumbfounded me. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, you guys are like trying to MCU this.
I mean, they might. I mean, uh,
Because Nintendo already spoiled one part of it. They done it the day before the movie came out. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I don't think.
Because there was speculations in the final trailer of who the extra character was going to be.
The W started with W.
No,
No.
no. So in the final trailer that you can watch, it pans over across everybody like Yoshi, Luigi, Mario, Peach, and there's one person at the very end. It cuts out though, right before you get to them,
Mm.
and everyone had assumed it was Fox McCloud.
I did see that Fox was in it, or supposedly, yeah.
And yeah, well, Nintendo dropped the ball the day before the movie came out and like confirmed it on their Twitter or the X account.
So Fox is in it.
So Fox McCloud is in the movie from
That's cool.
Nintendo themselves the day before the movie released.
That's
Now, if
cool.
they intentionally done that or not is a different story, but they did drop the ball on that one because everyone was like, well, we assumed, but it would have been nice to actually wait till the movie came out to see him and whatnot.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's just one reason why I say there's going to be a thing. But like I said, just not Fox. There was multiple other characters that came out from the Smash Bros.
Hmm.
Thing on the game.
That's cool. So it might be like a Marvel Universe type thing. What would be really cool is a Luigi's Mansion movie. That would be
Yeah.
cool. And if they could somehow do a Mario Sunshine, which they probably never would, but a Mario Sunshine movie, just that entire game could be a great movie by itself.
Like I said, they had Easter eggs to Sunshine in there. It was just, I could. So for me, how they're doing this universe right now in the movie world, because I know the movie world is different from the gaming world.
Yeah.
In the gaming world, I can see the final one being the Sunshine because you think that's him taking a vacation. That would be him, in his final moments, finally relaxing. Or Nintendo could put their own little spin on an Elimination Weaver 1 and put their own little spin on it, and that'd be his retirement.
Yeah.
Even though obviously it would still be a character, but they wanted to give the movies a break for a while. They could retire him in the movie sense and sit him in Sunshine because, obviously vacation destination, which is what
Right.
they was doing at the beginning of that game anyways.
Right. So without really spoiling it, does it end in a way that is it open it up for another movie?
Post credit scene, yes.
Okay.
Actual movie wise, no.
Okay. Because the first movie, it kind of did, but nobody really knew for sure if they were going to come out with a
Well,
sequel or not.
it was more the post credit scene too than what
Right.
it
That's
was
what
the
I'm saying.
actual
The end
movie.
of the movie didn't, but the post-credit scene did for the first one.
Yeah, because obviously the post post credit scene at the end of the first one, was Yoshi saying Yoshi at the end of it.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, I don't really want to spoil it, but there is a hint in the movie itself, just one, but if you wasn't looking for it and you didn't know what you was looking at, you wouldn't know it. Because they literally, I'm gonna I'm gonna spoil without spoiling it. They throw up a flower in the middle of the movie.
Okay.
It's a white flower, with white petals.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it's like a blink and you miss it in the movie, but literally me and Sierra looked at each other and was just like, oh, okay, that's so and so, but obviously that person never showed up and been in the post credit scenes. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
So yeah, like there's a blink and you miss it moment in the movie of who they're referencing in the future, and that, looking back, obviously it happens like I say not even a third way through the movie, and then like I said, you don't hear nothing else from anything about it until post credit scene. I was like, okay.
Hmm. All right. So the next thing that we have to look forward to, Nintendo wise, in the cinemas is the Zelda movie next year.
That's true. True. And it's a live action, so I mean, I know Nintendo's more strict on it now, but as I just mentioned, their one and only live action in 1993
It's
for
rough.
any of their titles was that bad.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that bad, especially with Shigeru Miyamoto being right in the production setting.
Yeah, because Miyamoto would have been new to Nintendo back when they released
He wouldn't
that.
have been anywhere close to that production
No,
at that time.
no, he would have still been the grunt actually designing well, I mean, that's what he was doing. He was designing the games at that point,
Yeah.
building them up. Stuck on that topic for just a little bit longer because I went ahead and broke it down like further compared to the other movies in recent years for it. Well, somewhat recent years because there's one that goes back to like 2013,
Okay.
but it is relatable. Uh, 59.1 super. I already said 2% ahead of Mario Bros. Movie. Thursday was excellent with 24.6 million. So in just one day, it made that much money. Uh, That's 29% of what it was there. Uh, Although it's slightly bigger dip than the first movie's Wednesday to Thursday watch was 16%. So no, it beat it in the 2 days, but it didn't beat it in the one day. Which I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, the 2023 one came out on an actual weekend,
I think a
not in the middle of the
Friday.
week.
Usually
I
movies come
think
out on
so.
Fridays, not
Yeah.
Wednesdays.
That's what threw me off about that movie. I'm like, why is it coming out on a Wednesday?
Yeah, it's weird.
Or at the apps, usually, well, I think it is a Thursday usually, or a Friday. Like you said, it's a Thursday. It's a Friday, or
I
I know
think
in
it's
recent
usually a
years, it'd be like,
Friday. Thursdays may be recent, but like when we were younger, up to a couple
yeah.
years ago, it was definitely every time it was a movie comes out on Fridays.
Hmm. Oh, especially anticipated ones.
But I think COVID kind of mixed that up a little bit.
Yeah. Although that slightly bigger dip in the first movie, Wednesday to Thursday, which was 16%. Mario Galaxy movie, Thursday ranks on the third biggest for an animated movie behind Moana 2, which was 27.7 million in 2024. Uh, okay. Just behind, its predecessor at 26.5 on April 6th, 2023. Did they release it almost? Yeah, they did. Almost 3 years to the date.
It was March.
No, it was April
Was
of
it
April
April?
6th.
Was it April 6th?
Now I can actually go back and tell you an exact time it came out. April 6th, it came out on a Thursday. Still closer to a weekend than a
Thursday.
Wednesday.
Hmm.
But and then got beat out by another. So it got beat out by basically two eliminations because Mario technically falls underneath Illumination, and then Despicable Me.
Yeah.
It got beat out by it on its 2 day predecessor. But, it's still shaping up after its second day to be better than uh, the original Mario movie.
It'll pass it, no problem. Yeah, in all time, not really sales like a video game, but box office dollars, it'll pass it.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Stayed a little bit longer on the topic of what I expected to. Which I figured that one was probably going to be the longest one out of the thing. But, you know. All right.
Yeah.
This one is kind of new news, but it's kind of not new news because we just got a more in depth from what it was. Because this technically got canceled in 2023, but The Last of Us multiplayer game canceled. But there's updates of how far the game was actually in progress whenever it did get canceled.
Yeah, new details about what happened to the Last of Us multiplayer game that never was have emerged, thanks to a former Naughty Dog developer who worked on it. Speaking to podcaster Lance E. Lee, developer Vinit Agarwal said that the canceled Last of Us live service title was almost at 80% completion, adding that the game was very, very close to done. Agarwal, who had worked on Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, and The Last of Us Part 2, was the game director for this multiplayer game. According to Agarwal, Sony had invested in the project after the uptick in online gaming in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. He added that The Last of Us Online title made a lot of progress, and the game was doing really, really well internally. Studio head and The Last of Us creator Neil Druckmann even called the game Naughty Dog's most ambitious project back in January 2023. But Arkwall said that the resources for the game were pulled back as COVID related restrictions loosened and people resumed in office work. Eventually, Naughty Dog had to choose between the online title or the next game that Neil Druckmann was directing. The online game was canceled in December 2023, with the studio saying that the post release support would severely impact development on future single player games. That was a devastating moment for me because I spent 7 years working on that game and it was soul crushing, Arkwall said, who had added that he only found out about his game's cancellation 24 hours before Naughty Dog's announcement. Arkwall left Naughty Dog in January 2025 and moved to Japan to form his own studio. So that's rough. 24 hours before their announcement is when he finds out that the game he's been working on for 7 years gets canceled.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
Yeah, because I know in 2023 we was actually like looking forward to that game coming
Yeah.
out. Then it's just like, oh, okay. All of a sudden it's not coming through. And like I said, this is technically old news because it's been canceled for a while, but it's just now being said that, 3 years later, well, technically 2.5 years later, because it was end
December.
of 2023.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, there's a reason, and we was almost done with it too, because at 80%, I don't know if it means 80% like we was just about ready to start buffing things out and it
Like
had been
bug
done,
crushing
or
bugs, but
yeah, or if 80% meant like we still had another 20% before we started doing test runs,
yeah. Either way,
because it
eighty
is
percent's a
half-hard.
lot. Like it's almost
Yeah,
done.
yeah, for it to get pulled, especially just a 24-hour notice before it gets pulled too.
And it just says that the online game was canceled because they went on to work on other online games, but it didn't say what that was, what it came out to be.
Well, they're still working on it.
It could be.
Because we know, well, 2023 Druckmann would have been still helping direct the Last of Us video or TV adaptations too.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I know obviously it wasn't Druckmann that was in full development of the thing. They said it was the guy with the hard A last name to pronounce.
Argwall. Agarwal.
Narwhal.
Narwhal.
But yeah, still being 80% complete. I mean, just like him, it came out of nowhere too. When it was like, oh yeah, no, we're not going to do this anymore. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I was actually looking forward to this game.
I was too. That'd be cool. An online Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool. But yeah, I remember talking about it before on our podcast, but never really knew the details until now of what happened to it.
Mm-hmm. That's why we said we was terrible then.
Yeah, we're not terrible anymore. We're
Look to be a little bit better now.
legacy. Legacy
Legacy.
now. Not
We've
terrible
upgraded.
anymore. We can't use that excuse anymore.
No, can't. Gone. Well, not technically gone, but
It's still there, but
we're moving up in life.
yeah, moving on. Almost 4 years, and then we're moving on.
That's right.
It's hard to believe it's
Speaking
almost
of
been
moving
four
on,
years.
huh?
It's hard to believe it's almost been 4 years.
Yeah. With a few month hiatus, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Uh, but speaking of which, this one has only been about 2 years in the making, but we also complained on Ubisoft back then, but they're finally getting sued over what they're going for. But there's a French lawsuit against Ubisoft.
Good. I assume too. They say we don't own our games.
The
French,
lawsuit is.
yeah. French Consumer Association UFCQ Corsair has sued Ubisoft over the shutdown of online racing game The Crew in early 2024. The news was shared yesterday via Reuters, with the association saying that it had filed the lawsuit. UFC, I'm not saying the rest, just UFC is alleging that Ubisoft misled consumers about the maintenance of their purchase and imposed abusive contractual clauses stripping players of ownership rights. The conflict began back in December 2023 when Ubisoft delisted The Crew from digital marketplaces. 3 months later, it went ahead and shut down its servers, rendering the game permanently unplayable. By April 2024, players started to receive a notification that their game license was being revoked without issuing refunds, which led to backlash, obviously. Ubisoft's stand was that customers only bought a limited access to the game, not full ownership. This in turn led to a European consumer movement called Stop Killing Games. Said group is backing the lawsuit. A citizens' initiative was launched in 2024 and presented to the European Commission last month with more than 1.3 signatures. I'm guessing 1.3 million. It just says 1.3 signatures, so one and a third signature. That's not that much, but
Yeah,
as
that's all they
Reuters,
needed.
yeah, as Reuters reports, that surpassed the threshold mandating review by the EU executive, which is expected to present its findings by the end of July. Um, Honestly, Ubisoft just, I mean, they get what they deserve. Saying that players, we need to get used to not owning our games, and saying that the customers only bought a limited access to the game just to license to play it for a little while. That's just bullcrap. Ubisoft deserves to go bankrupt, and they don't even make good games anymore, so it wouldn't be a
Yeah.
loss.
See, I'm not with Ubisoft in this situation, but it depends on what type of game it is. Like how we play, you know, NBA 2Ks.
Yeah,
You,
I mean they
you
straight up
expect
tell
that.
you when you buy the game, you can pretty much. I think it's in the manual. Well, when they used to give you manuals, the shutdown date of the launch servers, so because
And it's usually about 3 years, 2 or
yeah,
3 years
yeah,
before they shut down the servers. So a game like that comes out every single year, you expect that out of.
yeah.
But a game, especially a racing game, you typically don't see that because
No,
there's
I mean,
not a racing game that releases every single year.
Forza Horizon. I mean, their servers are still up back to the original
Hmm.
in the early 2000s or mid early 2000s. But
Only one they'd be able to argue with would be Need for Speed, which no, no, yeah, because the Crew. I was thinking there was a Need for Speed to Crew, but no, they're two different games.
yeah,
but Need for Speed, but you'd have to look at the old Need for Speed to even make that argument because, there wasn't no service. It was just a straight game. But again, you can't make online only games and be like, oh
Like,
yeah, I'm just going to take it back at any point.
right. And not give refunds. I mean, like, I understand, like, Fortnite. If it would shut down, that's an all online game, you know? You can't play it.
And
But
it's free to play.
I've never played the crew, but there should be, you would think, a local play, like a offline version
Hmm.
to play and to, keep people from being able to access that.
Yeah,
That's not
especially in
right.
2014, because 2014 you still didn't have wide access to true internet.
Yeah, I'm sure there's an offline mode for it. So just to keep people from being able to play even that, that's not right. Yeah, shut down the servers for online play, online co-op, but don't shut down the single player version.
Yeah, because 2014 you had that was the year after, well, counting holiday season. That would have been just a couple months after, the Xbox One and PS4 came out.
Yeah,
So
and
you definitely still had to, very basic internet connections
there's
at
a
that
lot of
point.
people that still didn't have consistent Wi-Fi for online gaming back then. Some people don't even have it
Hmm.
now.
That's what I'm saying. Especially 12 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a local single player version of that game and probably
Which
local
makes the
co-op too.
situation worse.
Right. And there's probably local co-op too, couch co-op. So
Yeah. 'Cause like I said, it was bad before if it was just an online game, which we know it's not because
it can't be.
2014,
There's
like I
no
said,
way.
no.
That was 3 years
And
before Fortnite,
especially,
and Fortnite was one of the first all online games.
yeah, and that happened 3 years after that game came out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just crazy. Which, I mean, he said the quiet part out loud, whenever he said that quote.
They don't care though. Ubisoft has no filter. They don't care, and they're making people mad. I mean, we've talked about the Stop Killing Games group before,
Hmm.
and they're doing some work, and they're getting a lot of backing. So Ubisoft, they're in some trouble, and they don't have the finances to back it up because they're not making good games, so they're not getting good sales. So they're either going to get sold or they're going to go bankrupt. I think here in the
Hmm.
next couple years, if not sooner.
Yeah, depends how big his payout is for this lawsuit. Because I'd assume that obviously the legal fees, it would be if they, the Stop Killing Games section did win or the UFC won, it would be fines, like I said, court costs, fines, reimbursements. That would be a hefty penny because you think how many people, which I'm sure it's just French citizens that would get the benefits of it and not, worldwide crew players.
Right? Yeah, definitely. Or they'd make them bring servers back up at
Hmm.
least for the
Cost money in itself as
single
well.
player version to come up. Maybe not the online co-op, but at least to give them some access to the game that they paid for.
It's
And it's not like it was a
just crazy.
digital only game either. I mean, there was physical
No,
discs for that game.
correct,
So
correct. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, you didn't have your Game Passes and stuff back then when it came out,
no,
or PS Plus.
nope,
You had straight physical copies and digital downloads. You didn't
yep.
have nothing else. So you can't even use that argument of, oh yeah,
It's a
well it was on
digital
Game
only
Pass or
game.
whatnot.
Yeah,
Nope, because I
yeah.
bought my game and it was a legal tender of it because I got it physical or digital,
Mm-hmm.
full price. I might have caught it on a sale, but that's still not the purpose.
That's right. Still physical. Still should be able to play it, pop it in and play it after you have to download it because you know you have to download games when that generation started. But
As you said, that generation started. Well, technically, the generation
the
prior towards
end
the end
of
of it, you had
yeah,
to.
you had an install
I was just
disc
saying,
for the 360, and then you had the play disc for like
yeah,
Ghosts and different bigger games. But
yeah. I was just saying it was like the very end, and it was some of the games that crossed over in between two generations.
yeah, But that generation, it was every single game.
Hmm. Which I'm sure the crew probably came out on PS3 and Xbox 360 as well.
I'm sure it did.
Because I mean, obviously, the at the time the next
It's
gen
cross
was
gen, yeah.
literally, yeah, and that was the whole selling point, was cross gen, even though it took both companies like 3 years to fully get everything integrated.
Mm-hmm.
Everything will be cross play. Oh, okay, cool. 3 years
You
later,
remember
it's
you
a
had the
vote.
the vote on the Xbox 360 game?
Yeah. Which one do you want to make cross
I know
gen
we
next? Like,
voted the crap out of all the Call of Duty games, and it took them forever to even make all of them backwards compatible.
uh huh. It's like, well, the vote, you said it was going to be right away.
Yeah,
I think that is all the time we have for today, guys.
yeah.
Thank you for watching and listening. Don't forget to follow our, well, we don't really have social set up yet. So
YouTube.
next week, YouTube. We do have a YouTube.
Yeah,
Legacy Gaming News Podcast on YouTube. And then we're working to get everything integrated next. So next week, we'll have all the socials ready for you.
yeah. Whoops. The TikTok, we'll have it up and ready. Um, we'll work on merch and stuff later. We're not going to get carried away right away with that, but um, yeah, we'll just see how this goes, and if it grows quick, we'll do all that stuff. But we'll just see how many of you guys listen.
That's right.
So share it with your friends and
Family, your
family.
dog.
Yeah, I don't care if your dog
Your
listening
cat.
to us. Listening
That's right.
counts as a listen. We don't care.
That's right. You
Um,
one of your chickens a cell phone.
yeah, there you go. All right, but yeah, we appreciate you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Later, guys.